Hey, welcome to Real News Live. This is Chris with Wednesday night. How you guys doing tonight? Hi, Richard. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Nana. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Karen. Hi, Minnie. How you guys doing tonight? Hi, Tobin. How you doing? I see you over there. And good evening, everyone that has not said hi in chat. Hopefully the video is coming through okay because Facebook is being weird right now. I do not know why, but hopefully we can fix that and get that issue solved. If not, I will have to check and see what's going on again. A lot going on in the world, though. A lot going on out there. As we're watching everything. I'm going to talk about something though I just heard about just now. Arkansas mother of Hunter Biden's child asked the court to give her daughter his last name. Did you hear about this? And Independence County, Arkansas, a mother asked of a child whose father is Hunter Biden has filed a motion to request the court give the child given Biden's last name. The report, or of course, the lady filing the motion requests the name change to the circuit court in Independence County on December 27th, 2022. A DNA test released on November 20th, 2019 confirmed that Biden, 52, was the child's father. Oh my goodness. I guess he's not even paying child support on this child. This is ridiculous. I mean, reading into the story and the claims and everything that greatly impact and preserve the legacy of the Biden family name is what she's trying to say. But the petition filed for paternity and child support back in 2019, temporary ordered child support was issued by the court. On January 27, 2020, the final agreement in March with financial specifications on the support agreement redacted by the court. So we also know that Biden was ordered to pay health insurance for the child as well as the mother's attorney and legal fees, in addition to some kind of monthly support, but we don't even know how much or what. He wants to try to keep this buried right now. Of course, everybody, the Biden family is trying to keep this buried, but I mean, the Biden attorney filed a motion to reset child support amount, citing a substantial material change and financial circumstances, but not including and not limited to his income. Of course, that's just ridiculous, trying to get his child support basically taken away so it doesn't have to go through anything else. It's just crazy what's happening though. This is just one part of this one thing that's happened today. We got Zelensky, he signed in a law to allow the Ukrainian government to block news and freedom of press. They're supposed to be a democratic nation. They're supposed to be a democratic nation, and Zelensky's passing laws, a new law that allows the government to block websites that are providing news and information if they're not a registered news network with a registry that doesn't exist in Ukraine. The groups of journalists and that law undermines press freedoms, and it's true, it does. The Ukrainian government powers to block media outlets is ridiculous. By Zelensky signing to law after Ukrainian parliament passed it early in December, now it's officially law. Lawmakers touted the bill as an effort to bring Ukrainians' media laws closer to European standards. It's not standards. This is about shutting people up that are trying to speak out. I mean, they argue that it will help counter Russian propaganda and Russian invasion of Ukraine year's 1-year anniversary, but this is just bullshit. Let's just say it as though it is. Organizations representing journalists say the law will erode freedom of press in Ukraine, and under the law, Ukrainian media regulators could be could block websites and not register and not allow them to register with the government as news organizations just because they don't like them. The law is truly at odds with freedom of press. It truly is. I mean, this is against everything we believe in freedoms and as a democratic nation, but yet it's still happening. I mean, this happening in Ukraine, it's just crazy and ridiculous. I mean, when we move on to what's happening outside, I mean, Ukraine is just, in total, so much shit, it's not even funny. Vladimir Putin, of course, deployed warships carrying hypersonic missiles to Ukraine after Russia suffers devastating losses of 3,000 troops in 4 days. But he announced that he's very glad to announce Putin a warship carrying nuclear-capable hypersonic missiles towards Ukraine. Hypersonic nuclear missiles. That's what he sent it. I mean, these missiles, obviously, a test launch on nuclear capability onboard warship currently in this White Sea shows Zircon missiles traveling at speeds up to 7,000 miles an hour, successfully hitting targets as far as 620 miles away. I'm sure that such a powerful weapon would make it possible to reliably protect Russia from potential external threats, will help ensure the nation's interest of their country. This is important. Monumentous, if you should say. It is sad to see this happening, but this is what's happening. We've been talking about hypersonic missiles now, and the U.S. has been trying hypersonics, of course. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but I mean, Russia's on a mission here. And what's going to happen? How are we going to counter this major threat from Russia? Man, this is a true major threat, if not just for Ukraine, but for the world. And missiles capable of traveling that fast are not going to be intercepted. It's pretty much impossible to intercept at this point. Russia, of course, is still using Ukrainian drones last night, or drones to bombard Ukraine with U.S.-made technology, and the chips are still flowing. I talked about this, of course, Monday. But the menace in the Ukrainian skies, killing hundreds and scaring millions, while Moscow's drones are Russian and Iranian. The key technology inside is European and American. Like I said, the key technology is Texas Instruments that are inside these drones. And Kiev's morning inside the unnamed location with sandbags and shielded windows, Ukrainian drones specialist Paul Klopsky holds up a 30-pound drone that Ukrainian forces captured from Russia. It's an Orlan 10. It's the basic Russian UAV. He opens it up, and removes the module. The chip inside bears a logo that reads U-Block, a Swiss company. Task of the chips is orientation in the sky. Without it, the drone wouldn't know where it is or how to fly. Amazing, from Maxine to Microchip to Texas Instruments, all of them are being found in these drones. The Ukrainian government has shown proof of the components. Some from Russia and some modified Russian Iranian drones retrieved by the Ukrainian forces for the past 4 months were produced by U.S. companies. The drones total, Maxim and Microchip and Texas Instruments. What a surprise! While the technology is potentially lethal, consumers routinely use the same kind of chips are being found inside Smartphones, tablets, cars, potentially anything that uses satellite navigation. But in Ukraine, Russia using them to tap into Glossin, which is their GPS network, and Moscow and the GPS network, the global positioning system we use. This is crazy. There's no evidence that any company had knowingly allowed their products to wind up in Russia or Iranian hands, but they're breaking U.S. sanction laws. Most companies, including Microchip, Maxim, and have terms and conditions prohibiting the use of their technology for military purposes. And it's still happening. What is the U.S. government going to do about it? That's a big question. Really, what can they do at this point? As no American companies would agree to interview or to answer any questions about whether they do business with Russia. Ukrainian lawmakers are investigating Russia's use of drones and Western technology. I mean, this is crazy. These these drones are rigged to self-destruct, causing massive injuries to people and property. Ukrainian citizens are scared. I mean, Ublock said, the Swiss company said they cut ties with Russian companies after the start of the war, but yet their chip that was found inside the Ukrainian drone was a newer chip. And these components, by the way, are not under the embargo. These are not part of the embargo with Russian embargo where we can't ship to them. He admits the company can't stop distributing and selling technology to companies in Russia. I mean, he can't be 100% sure that Ublock doesn't want these being used in drones, but they're being used. And with China, of course, warning of a red line, setting a red line now, warning the U.S. not to cross the red line on Taiwan. I mean, this is tactics we use. Trying to warn the U.S. to stop using Somalian tactics that consist of challenging the country's red line with Taiwan, on Taiwan. I mean, a phone conversation with U.S. Secretary Anthony Blinken and his Chinese counterpart, according to the Chinese version of the phone call, I mean, it's a successful meeting that sent a positive message to the outside world that they were not going to back down to Russia or to the U.S. Yeah, the stuff that's happening in Portland, we're not going to talk about right now. We got a lot more to talk about. The U.S., of course, is taking this very seriously and legitimate concern to stop and contain and suppressing China's development, particularly stop using the tactics, of course, that we're doing now. We're actually crossing China's red line every day. But we're going to see more of this as Chinese military sent 71 planes and 7 ships towards a 24-hour display of force on South Rhode Island, and we'll see more of it. Even though the U.S. is trying to Taiwan-related provisions in the U.S. annual spending division bill, should we? Should we be giving more money to foreign nations that are not allies? For China's foreign ministry, Blinken said the U.S. will continue to follow China's one China policy and does not support Taiwan's independence. That's per Blinken. Anthony Blinken said this. At the same time, we're talking about providing weapons and our defense bill to Taiwan. Now, if that's not a serious issue, what is? we're not satisfied with just pushing Russia and trying to get a war with Russia. We're doing the same thing that we're doing with Russia with China now on the other side with Taiwan. Of course, we can't get a comment out of Blinken about his take on pushing both sides of the same thing. He doesn't want to make it. Other news, China is now burning bodies in the streets again as COVID deaths soar and funeral homes are overwhelmed in China once again as they lifted restrictions. Horrifying images have appeared showing families burning bodies of their loved ones in the streets as COVID infections explode and nursing homes and hospitals are overwhelmed. Reports that China could experience 1 million new cases a day has sparked global fears about the potential for a new variant to emerge. There's already new variants there. Reports come as Beijing last month axed its zero COVID policy after 3 years of strict curbs, despite authorities in China having claimed only 5,000 people have died from the virus since the policy year turn. Shocking video shared online shows bodies piling up in hospitals, crematoriums weeks after. I mean, everybody's right now trying to force China to test people before they send them out. Of course, that's not happening. Funeral homes and hospitals say they have been overwhelmed. International health experts predict 2.1 million COVID deaths in the coming months in China. 2.1 million. The cost of cremations have reportedly increased because of surge in demand, which has seemingly led some families to take matters into their own hands. Footage of fires in the streets in Chinese purportedly shows makeshift cremations. One clip shows a wooden casket on the side of a pathway being burnt into a small pier. The burning appears to be taking place in a rural area. Crazy. It's happening all over again. This is what happened at the beginning when the original COVID outbreak happened. Similar clips have surfaced from the city, and more clips have been posted online of bodies being burned in similar ways. Residents lying the bodies on the bed sheets before drawing chalk outline. This is just sickening. Mourners are fanning the flames with tree branches. I mean, there's actual photos of this. It is sickening to see. I mean, you guys go to Weeblo. That's how I get these articles from out of China directly. But if you go to Weeblo and search this, you will find actual screenshots posted of these images of residents, of course, and his neighbor showing his neighbors his father had died, and they're unable to afford cremation services, so they find an open space and they burn the body. That's what they're doing. This is actually happening in China. Chinese government doesn't want it out. It is sad. Of course, here in the United States, the feds are a freaking joke. The House is a joke. State of emergency, California. The feds officially are expected to keep rates elevated for some time. Doesn't matter what the economy is going to do and how bad it's going to hurt us. They don't care. The Federal Reserve officially reaffirms their commitment to combating inflation. The December meeting indicated that interest rates would remain elevated for some time until clear evidence of consumer prices are falling. I'm not talking. These cases I'm talking about are in China. They are nowhere near the U.S. The U.S. is having waiting room issues because of flu and RSV and measles. I don't know if you guys heard about the measles outbreak. It's just sad. The central bank, of course, released the meetings minutes, and of course, we're watching what's happening with the Feds. I mean, they're looking at maybe going with a 50% base hike instead of a 75% point base hike. That's still an alarming interest rate hike. I mean, we're watching still inflation climbing at a rate of 9.1%. I mean, go to the store and buy eggs. Let me check the price of eggs right now because they constantly keep changing, you know. And it was a 603 the other day. I just bought eggs the other day. It was 603 like 3 days ago. So let's see. 6.92 today for a dozen eggs. $6.92. $7 for a dozen eggs. That's more than 50 cents an egg. More than 50 cents an egg. And these are Walmart brand. These aren't some high class brand. These aren't these cage free range eggs. These are Walmart brand eggs. If you go with extra large, you're looking at over $8. Just sickening. Absolutely sickening. And gas going up, everything's going up at alarming rates. And people aren't realizing it. Feds keep raising interest rates, and it's going to be ridiculous. The amount of interest rates are right now, people won't be able to afford their mortgage pretty soon. I know a whole bunch of people already that have contacted me saying they're going to end up in foreclosure because they're on a variable rate mortgage. It's a very sad story. There's nothing I can do to help right now. Nobody has any money. Yeah, you can get cans of mercury for cheap. Of course you can. I mean, tuna. It's sad. Sad. Yeah, I wish military housing would allow you to own chickens as well. Are you on base or are you off base housing? Off base housing, sometimes you can't have chickens, depending on where your commission. Or you're in California, probably not. Sad. It's just ridiculous. We are going into depression. I mean, heck, McCarthy is not going to get Speaker of the House at this point, even with Biden's or not Biden, even with Trump's endorsement. He's not going to get Speaker of the House. I mean, this is 6 votes so far. He's failed to reach a deal on the California Republicans' bid to become Speaker. Kevin McCarthy should not be Speaker, as far as I'm concerned. But just sad. He can't hammer out a deal to get the 218 votes he needs to become Speaker. And they just keep voting. Now we're heading for a depression. Stagflation would be the least of our concern. We're heading for a full-on depression at this point. I think it's ridiculous, and McCarthy, of course, is keeping, and everybody's trying to keep his bid to keep him as or get him as Speaker of the House. Obviously, a lot of progress needs to be made before he can get through. There's 20 hardline conservatives that aren't going through with him. They don't want to talk to him. They don't want him. Of course, worst of all that's happening in the country right now, and I hate to say this, California is in a state of emergency as massive storm flooding is happening. And of course, more storms are on the way. Newsom has done the right thing and declared a state of emergency. Drivers are being asked to stay off the roads as a major series of storms carried by the atmospheric rivers dropping massive amounts of rain across a wide swath of California from Los Angeles to the Oregon border. Some areas can get as much as 10 inches of rain in the next day or so. High winds are expected. I mean, big storms coming in. Be careful though, there's high winds. No traveling, yep. Through tomorrow if you're in California or even southern Oregon. As these storms come through, they are going to be very dangerous, especially with the flash flood potential up in the mountains, mudslides, and everything else. And they need rain. The ground can't soak up. The ground's been dry and hard so long. I mean, it really has nowhere to go. Ground is already saturated, so any rain is going to cause immediate flooding. Yeah, winds are going to go all the way up to the north. The rain, you guys won't get the heavy winds in the rain. But San Francisco is already being battered by record rainfall, and demand for sandbags is so high that the city has exhausted its supply. The good news, though, is the storm is bringing more snow to California, Sierra, and Nevadas than it did in decades past. Snowfall pack is a virtual or vital water supply for the state, affected by years of drought. I know nobody likes the heavy rain and the flooding, but the snowfall, when that snowmelt happens in spring, will end up directly in the reserves for water supply. California definitely needs it. Definitely need better water management as well. But there's a lot happening at once. Hopefully I got through everything tonight. I hope I didn't miss anything, but I don't know. It's crazy out there. Crazy out there. Thank you for Tia. Thank you for that donation of $25. Definitely appreciate it as it helps us recoups up the funds we've already spent and helps us go forward with funds we're going to be spending. And thanks once again. We're trying to raise $25 a night, so we officially did that tonight. God bless you, Tia. God bless America. So much happening at once. So much happening at once. Guys, please stay safe out there. We're going to keep up to date with this Russia-China situation as we go forward because we know what's going to happen. At one point, one of these missiles are going to be fired and it's going to be nuclear. And when that happens, we have to be ready to communicate and be open and honest with each other. I mean, the U.S. is obviously, our government is not ready to protect us. Our government is not even ready to protect itself. And the White House is cautioning against a pandemic of the subvariant of XBB 1.5 of COVID. That's the new one that's in China. If it gets here, our government's going to be in shambles. We already have too many viruses overrunning hospitals without it. So stay safe. Pray for our soldiers. Pray for our citizens. Pray for the people out in California. Pray for the people that are sick, in need. God bless everyone. God bless America. Be safe. I will see you guys Friday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Till then, good night.